The pitch is hit in the air to deep center. Sizemore going back, way back, on the track, at the wall. It's gone! Oh, Georgie Juice one. Gardner. There goes the deep right. It is high. It is far. It is gone. It's a Gardy party. He plants one in the right field seats. Gardy goes yardy from Price. Swung on and hit in the air to deep left. That ball is high. It is far. It is gone. He's homered. Derek Jeter homers.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Pinstripe Plunge Report, your Wednesday night home for all things New York Yankees and the biggest stories around Major League Baseball.
And we're not just rehashing box scores. We're breaking down the latest news, notes, thoughts, theories, and opinions from 161st Street and River Ave to every corner of Major League Baseball. I'm Dave.
And I'm Jeremy. And don't forget, we have our mailbag section coming up later in the show. So drop your questions in the chat, whether it's for Bronx Banter, trade speculation, power rankings, hot takes, or anything else. We want to hear it all from you.
Welcome to the Pinstripe Plunge Report. But before we dive in, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe. If you're watching us on X, do us a favor. Hit that follow and that repost to get the word out that we're live. That would actually be awesome. And check out our link tree, man. It's got all of our pertinent information for our merchandise store, our affiliate sponsorship links were sponsored by Topps, to name one, and then the bat company. Forget the name of them. Damn it. Just bats. Yes. So if you need a bat, check out our affiliate link for that. And if you want to hang out with me and watch me flip some sports cards, you can do so on Whatnot. So follow me, Gilly's House of Cards, right there, down at the bottom there on Whatnot and Instagram.
All right. So as we do, let's hit the leadoff spot. So in a weird case of deja vu, we're back at it discussing once again the very controversial figure at this point in time.
I was going to say problematic, but
I mean, one in the same right now. When we looked last, this felt like just 2 weeks ago that we were discussing Devin Williams and him losing the closer role and ultimately being relegated to a setup spot. And, for the first couple of moments of it, it felt like it was okay. Devin Williams started to clean up his act, be able to get some, clean innings and be able to look like the Devin Williams that we traded for. And then it all went back to where it used to be as the closer for the Yankees. So just to kind of look at where his numbers have resided for the 2025 campaign, they're not pretty. An ERA of 10.03. He has 4 saves, obviously being moved out of the closer role. You weren't going to continue to get those. And that ERA is just in 10 2/3 innings. He's given up 13 hits, 15 runs, 13 of which were earned, 10 walks, a wild pitch, and a hard hit percentage against him of 32.4. These are not the kind of numbers that you're hoping for when you trade for a guy who was arguably the best reliever in baseball. We mentioned it before that on MLB Network's top 10 right now, Devin was listed as the number 1 reliever in the game. Some would say that's controversial given Emmanuel Clase was some people's number 1.
Wow.
But they're both kind of struggling right now. But for us, Devin Williams, we were hoping to have a crazy 1-2 punch when it came to Devin Williams and Luke Weaver, right? We were hoping, obviously not to the same degree as Mariano, but, I think back to David Robertson and Mariano Rivera, or Phil Hughes and Mariano Rivera back in our last championship run. But obviously that's not the case. Nobody's going to be Mo, but you were hoping to be able to get some semblance of consistency and not have heart palpitations every time you turn on the 9th inning of a close game. And that's what we've gotten so far with Devin Williams. So, Dave, I know you have some interesting thoughts on Devin. Yeah. So take it away.
Well, I'm going to start with the good first. Luke Weaver is about as close to Mariano as you will get from the automatic side of it. I mean, every time that kid, I say kid, he looks like a kid. He's 33 years old. So he's got that baby face going for him. But that being said, he's about as automatic as you get these days. It's usually 3 up, 3 down, no matter what, except for the other night when he had to come in and clean up somebody else's mess. I didn't exactly agree with it. I think Tim Hill should have been in there in that situation, or somebody else that's not named Luke Weaver. Just saying. But he's human. Everybody has a bad game. And, when you're coming in with guys on base, it's a little bit of a shitty situation, kind of like what they used to do with Chad Green when he used to come in and clean up Aroldis Chapman's mess, and then people would get pissed off that he's giving up grand slams. It's like, well, if there wasn't 3 guys on base to begin with, maybe this wouldn't have been a thing. But that being said, now let's get to the bad and the ugly. There are no more excuses for Devin Williams at this point. I'm sorry. You can try to defend this all the hell you want. I'm done. He needs to figure it out, or he needs to go. Simple as that. We don't have time. We don't have time for nonsense like this. We're going into mid-May, and you got a guy that can't pitch his way out of a wet paper bag, to put it mildly. This has got to stop. They need to do something. Either he needs to fix himself, go see a therapist, get right in the head, something, because his ability is there. It's between the ears, and I have no idea what's going on with him. A lot of people are saying, oh, it's because he's a dad now, this, that, and the other thing. And then Keith McPherson was like, well, he's not up in the middle of the night doing feedings and changing diapers, so I don't want to hear it. The guy's a millionaire. I'm sure he has nannies to do that kind of thing. I mean, he just went on and on in this reel that I saw. It was kind of comical, but it was still like, But like I said, you can't defend this anymore. It's either he's got to get right or it's time to move on. And it sucks that you gave up Nestor Cortez to get him. But like you said, we were hoping for a 1-2 punch. That is clearly not the case. And you cannot go deeper and deeper and deeper into the season with this kind of baggage weighing you down. As you get later in the season, you're supposed to figure out bullpen roles, who's pitching when, where, against whom, and you can't have weak links. And if this is the way it's going to be, I say bring back Adam Ottavino. I mean,
that's a hot take.
I'm not saying Adam was perfect. I just don't think he was using the right situations in his last half season here in New York. But yeah, they need to figure it out. He needs to figure it out, and that's all I gotta say.
Yeah. So as we kind of like close out this section, but just to kind of give the other side of it, right?
How many strikeouts does he have before we go any further?
So he's got a 22.4% strikeout rate with, let me see here real quick. He's got 13 strikeouts and 10 walks and 11 2/3.
Yeah, that's not
not
even pitching at a AAA level at this point, man. This is what you see in AA.
Yeah. So just to kind of give the other side of it, right? So fielding independent pitching is a statistic that really goes to what a pitcher controls, right? So they say with walks, strikeouts, and home runs. And Devin's FIP is 3.68, right? So if his ERA was much more reflectant of the like damage that he's giving up, then we'd be seeing a much different situation. I just saw a post on X from Joe's McFly earlier today and I didn't even realize it until I saw it, but the Yankees would have the same record as the Dodgers if they had not allowed Devin Williams to pick up a baseball for the Yankees this year.
That is crazy.
Yeah. So they would have been, I think it was 24-11 had Devin Williams not thrown a baseball for the Yankees this year.
There was a similar stat out there when Joey Gallo was playing here that like how many games we would have won had Gallo not come out and either struck out, popped out, grounded out with dudes on base. Like it was insane. But yeah. I digress.
Now, yeah, obviously we can't, subscribe to the theory of the predetermined outcome, the fallacy of the predetermined outcome. But nevertheless, it's one of those things that it does kind of make your eyes pop a little bit when you hear that the Yankees would be about 6 games better if they had not allowed this guy who was considered the best reliever in baseball to pick up a baseball for them. But again, looking at the other side of it, I also think, and this to me is more about the way the Yankees can try to fix this situation. According to Fangraphs, obviously Devin Williams, we know, is a 2-pitch pitcher, changeup and fastball, right? He's pitching his changeup this year at 53% and the fastball at 47. What we saw when Devin was pitching well for those like 3-4 outings, whatever it was, after he got demoted from the closer role, was a kind of a flip in that, right? So we saw a little bit more fastballs, which then made the changeup more significant. It made it so that it wasn't as obvious that he's going to the fastball because he couldn't locate the changeup. When you can locate your fastball and you can put it anywhere in the zone, then that changeup becomes the more effective and devastating pitch that it's meant to be. But when you can't locate that changeup whatsoever for a strike, then you become a 1-pitch pitcher, and no matter how good your fastball is, it's going to get hit. You brought up Aroldis Chapman. Chapman has one of the best fastballs in the history of Major League Baseball, and it gets hit around because when you can't locate any other pitch for a strike consistently, they sit and wait for the leader. The straight fastball is going to go out and go out very fast. And so we know that Devin Williams' fastball is decent. It's good fastball, but it's not going to be an overpowering fastball without the changeup being able to separate and devastate. So to me, if the Yankees are going to get him right, I think they're going to have to consider introducing another pitch. And if they go down that route, it allows for there to be some doubt in the hitter's mind and not just be able to, all right, he doesn't have his changeup today, I'm just sitting fastball. Even if they throw in just a cutter, right? Obviously,
or two-seamer.
Right, a cutter or two-seamer, something that changes the direction, that changes the look of it. And if they go with the two-seamer, like you mentioned, I think that really then plays into the changeup even more because now I don't know if you're going to get that one that has a bit more zip to it or if it's going to be the one that's a little bit slower and pulling the string. So that to me would be a way for the Yankees to try to kind of correct this issue with Devin Williams and get him back to being the guy that is looked at as one of the best relievers in the game. So that to me is kind of the other side of it. I think that obviously there are people far more qualified than me to be the pitching coach for this Yankees roster and team. And to me, that seems like an easy answer and an easy fix. Obviously, it's very difficult to just pick up and start throwing something different after all these years. But obviously, these are Major League ball players, and he had thrown something else at some point in his career. So, and when you look at a guy like Max Fried, who throws like 8 or 9 different pitches, then you're really looking at somebody that's going to be able to kind of maybe impart some of that wisdom. We know Garrett is always tinkering and talking to guys in that dugout, be able to try to add something else to that repertoire and make things stand out a little differently. So
you want to know something, though? You're the New York Yankees, right? You had the most historic closer in the game play for you for 20 years. Why are you not bringing Mariano Rivera in to work with this guy? Like Andy Pettit's doing with the starters. Like, why not pick up the phone and get him to Yankee Stadium and have him work with this kid before it's too late?
Absolutely.
Like, I don't get it. Like, you have all the resources of all these past players that are elite, and it's just and you rather rely on fucking analytics. Like, it just blows my mind, honestly. I can't wrap my head around it.
Yep. I completely agree. I think that there is something that has to be done to be able to get this guy corrected and get him fixed. Because like you said, we traded a valuable asset in Nestor. Obviously, Nestor is a guy who is beloved by the fans. And, in my opinion, as much as I liked having Nestor on this roster, I think the league figured him out. And it was only a matter of time. So to be able to trade a guy like Nestor, and I think the more valuable asset to Milwaukee in that deal was Caleb Durbin. But, I think that being able to bring in a guy of his calibers is something that was almost like a significant steal, right? But only if he can get it together and figure it out.
Unless Milwaukee knows something we don't.
I mean, there's a lot of talk that that home run that Pete Alonso hit against him in the postseason broke him. So And so far, it's kind of shown itself to be true.
Well, until something else happens that proves me wrong, I've already subscribed to that theory when we were texting back and forth the other day. So
yeah,
didn't take me long.
Yeah, for sure. So let's move on to the heart of the order here.
See ya. That one's driven deep to left field. There it goes. See ya. Back on the track at the wall. They've done it again. Track, wall, see ya. The bat worked. High fly ball. See ya. A grand slam for Aaron Judge. They keep on doing it. See ya. High fly ball at the wall. See ya. 3 home runs for Aaron Judge. See ya. The Yankees' 9th home run of the day. They did it again.
So now as we take a look at kind of the premise of today's video, today's live stream, is this idea. And we titled it Identity Crisis, right? So the thumbnail for the video, the title for this video is Identity Crisis. Who are the real 2025 New York Yankees? And to me, there's a lot of questions as to what this team's identity is. We've seen them go through spells so far this early part of this year, this season, where they look like the best team in baseball. We see them go through spells where they look like they absolutely have no idea what they're doing on the field. And so it's very interesting to me to kind of take a look and try to figure out what this team's identity truly is. So, obviously, when we look at this section, we do run through the numbers from the previous series. And even just looking at this current series, right? So the first 2 games of this Padres series, this team has done some very strange things.
Last night, for instance.
Exactly. So it's kind of befuddling to me to look at this team with the talent that we have and the pedigree that they come from in terms of their minor league stats, the way that they played in 2024, the way that they play through parts of this season, to try to figure out who they are.
Yeah. I got one theory. I mean, you look at, I'm not comparing this team in any way, shape, or form to the 96 squad. So please, everybody watching and who will listen to this, don't assume that's what I'm getting at. I'm going with the way the team is structured. In 1996, you had a bunch of veteran dudes blended with young and up-and-coming talent, as in Bernie had only been in the league at that point for 4 or 5 years. You had Jeter coming up, Mariano, Posada, mixed in with players like Luis Sojo, Andy Fox, Kenny Rogers, Graham Lloyd, and I could keep going and going. This squad, you got Cabrera, Volpe, Jazz, who's still, I consider, a young guy, even though he got robbed of the 2020 season. So for all intents and purposes, he's been in the league for 4 years, if you really do the math. J-Dom, Austin Wells, who's in year 3 or 2. I can't. Yeah, right? 3? Year 3 this year? Or year 2?
3, technically, like 2.5.
So I'm not saying they're a team in transition, but they're a team that's trying to figure out where to go. And it doesn't help when you have, and I'm not saying this is his fault, but Will Warren going out there and laying eggs. You're putting stock in, well, not anymore, like Carlos Carrasco to figure it out. Marcus Stroman, who just forgot how to pitch one day and hurt his knee. Weird. Which is putting more pressure on the defense to basically be damn near perfect, to a bullpen that if you don't know what you're getting when you bring in Mark Leiter Jr. or Devin Williams on a night-to-night basis. You just don't know, and you can't pitch Tim Hill or Fernando Cruz or Luke Weaver or anybody else down there night after night after night after night after night. So I think that's really what you got going on. You got 3 different eras of baseball players trying to figure out how to blend together. And I know people are going to say, well, they had a month and a half in spring training to figure it out. But
No,
it's not enough time. I'm sorry. Unless you're like the 96 through 2000 squads, where it's relatively the same dudes year in, year out. There's just no consistency with teams anymore because of free agency and everybody chasing the big bag of money.
Yeah.
So that's what I think is going on. I think the pitching is all jacked up and it's putting more pressure on the defense to be damn near perfect, and which is causing them to screw up. And I know everyone's going to say, well, you play in New York, you ought to be used to the pressure, blah, 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 blah. These guys are human. They're not robots. So
yep,
there you have it.
Yeah, no, I agree. In looking at some of the stats through for this team so far this year, obviously there are some bright spots, right? We've seen some young players progress. Ben Rice, most notably, has been a revelation for this team. I think it's going to be absolutely one of the most interesting things to see what happens if and when Stanton gets back, what they do with Ben Rice.
So segue to that, if you guys want to really know what's going on, next week we're having the Bronx Bomber babe, Julia, is going to be joining us. She was supposed to join us tonight. She couldn't make it. Something came up. But next week we're going to have her on, and she's going to fill us in on what she talked to Aaron Boone about with the plan for Giancarlo Stanton when he comes back. So a little bit of a tease for next week. So don't miss that one.
Absolutely. So it's going to be very interesting to me to see what they decide to do at that point, right? Obviously, we've seen some positive notes from Volpe. We've seen some downside from Volpe. Same thing with Jazz. Obviously, same thing with Austin Wells. And like you said, there are some veteran guys on this team that have been playing well. Obviously, Judge is playing in another world when it comes to what he's done so far this year.
He would be like, if watching him play you would swear he's playing against a bunch of little leaguers every night. It's just that laughable.
Yeah. Yep. And then you see a guy like Paul Goldschmidt, who has found the fountain of youth in New York. So especially when you compare it to what he did through the first part of last season with the Cardinals to what he's done so far with us, it's been, night and day difference. Obviously, there were some underlying numbers in his second half, which is what made the Yankees go after him. But it's still, even more than what we could have hoped for, let alone expected out of him coming off of last year. And then obviously there are some players that have struggled out of the gate. Cody Bellinger, for one, has not been what we had hoped for him to be. We had discussed last week on this live stream on this episode 4 about where he should be hitting in the lineup, and we saw Aaron Boone listen at least for a day, and that's where it ended. So we haven't seen Bellinger back in the leadoff spot except for that one game. And for me, I think that when you look at what we have with this team, like you said, there's a mix of players, right? There's some veteran guys, there's some young guys. And I think that obviously when you have a lot of young players that are, 2-3 years in the league or less, they're not really going to have a firm grasp on who they are as a player and how their game develops. But I think it's also on the coaching staff to kind of help nurture and mold that, right?
I mean, it's kind of what they're paid to do.
Exactly. And, I've never been shy about it. I'm not a big Boone fan when it comes to him as the manager for this squad. And while I will give him all the credit in the world, he will defend his players to the end. Sometimes he says the most ridiculous things in their defense, but nevertheless, he defends them to the end, right? I will give him a full set of credit for that. But I also think that there's a lot to be desired when it comes to especially his in-game management, right? There's a lot of questionable decisions. And I've said from the beginning, right? And people always discuss Boone's winning percentage as a manager as to why he's so good. But I've always said and firmly believe to this day, this team wins in spite of Aaron Boone, not because of him. And I think that there's a lot to a good manager, right? And I think back to even just last night, right? Obviously, there was some questionable calls in the game against the Padres, but you saw Mike Schilt go out and defend his players, right? and defend them furiously. It was almost
throwing his glasses in his
listen, it was comical, without a doubt. It was
Lou Piniella 2.0. That's what I was thinking when I saw him losing his mind. Him and Bob Melvin, man, when they lose it, they fucking lose it. It's hilarious.
Right. And I'll give Boone credit for that. He will have some antics when he gets thrown out, right? But it goes beyond that, right? Yeah. And what made, for me anyway, right? And there was a breakdown by John Boy of, what was said. Obviously, you can go look that up. He's very good with the lip reading. But when he did the breakdown of that, right? Mike Schill did not argue the pitch. We knew the pitch to Fernando Tatis Jr. was low. It was a bad call. Even though it went in our favor, it was a bad call.
Yeah, welcome to Aaron Judge's world.
Yeah, well, yeah, every single week. Every year.
Get over it, Crimea River.
But no. But my point to this is that Schill went out and defended his players, not for the bad call, but for the fact that Adrian Johnson, the home plate umpire, threw out Fernando Tatis Jr. when he didn't do anything to show him up, right? And that was Schill's point. Like, his dugout, his bench almost never gets thrown out. Yeah. It's absolutely insane to think about that, right? But that's because they're playing for their manager, because he does the right things. He goes and makes the right moves, right? And for me, when I watch Aaron Boone and the decisions that he makes, right, especially the bullpen moves, right, that's the one that just really drives me crazy. When he makes these decisions, you're questioning it as you watch the decision being made. And these guys have all the stats, all the numbers. We used to joke Joe Girardi for his binder, but it's like, these guys have that in spades, especially on the iPads. And yet you make these boneheaded decisions. It just doesn't make sense in my book. Right. And obviously, this is Monday morning quarterbacking and whatever adjective you want to add in there. But this is all the time with Boone. And again, obviously, we can see there's certain things that changed. Right. Devin Williams got pulled out of the closer role much quicker than what they did last year with Clay Holmes. Right. So you would say that there's progress being made there. But there's still just so much that you can tolerate as a fan watching this team night in and night out and not continue to question it.
Yeah, well, in the case of Clay Holmes, it took 12 blown saves and a walk-off grand slam for that light bulb to finally go, maybe this is a bad idea. No shit, Boone, you think?
I think it was 14.
No, that was what it was at the end.
Yeah.
At that point, he had blown 12, and I think it was like 10 in a row. It's like, hello, what are we doing here? And then, I hate to keep beating this dead horse, but you go back to game 1 of the World Series.
Yeah.
Nestor Cortez had not thrown in a game. Granted, yes, he was throwing on the side. Throwing on the side is not the same thing as throwing in a game time situation, pressure cooker in the freaking World Series in Dodger Stadium. You let this man go out there and pitch to Freddie Freeman, who, in my opinion, is probably the best left-handed bat in Major League Baseball. And I know all the Shohei fans are probably like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Man, shut up. He knocks a grand slam off you. And like Boone sitting in the dugout going, oh, I wonder how that happened.
Yeah, especially when you had available.
Dude. Let me ask you this. If you were Brian Cashman for a day,
yeah,
and you had to replace Aaron Boone, who are you replacing him with?
So I wish I could say this without
feeling guilty.
Yeah, I want Alex Cora. I've wanted Alex Cora. Yes, I know it sounds crazy.
Well, he's signed to an extension. He ain't going anywhere. So get that thought out of your head.
Carlos Beltran. That to me is the guy that I want on this team, right? And here's why. What Beltran is able to see in the game, obviously we know about 2017 and that whole scandal.
And that's why I don't think he gets hired, because you're going to put him in the same dugout with guys that you ripped a ring off their finger on. Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton.
Sure, but they also
having that.
They also played with Beltran, right? And
no, they didn't.
Judge was on the team in 17 when Beltran.
He got traded. He got traded before Judge got there. He got traded in 2016.
Right. But he was there. Like, they worked in spring training together. They had Judge around Beltran in spring training to learn from, to teach. And this is a guy who also was announcing for them a couple of years ago and was one of the ones that was instrumental in the Yankees kind of looking towards certain things when it came to the sign stealing stuff, right? Remember, there was the whole thing with the Apple Watches in the Yankee dugout and the Red Sox dugout, that whole thing. That came from Beltran tipping that off. So obviously he's a guy who comes with a controversial, tag to him. But I also think that the intelligence and the baseball IQ that he has, there are a few that are out there and available that are going to really stand out, in my opinion, and make a difference for this team. So that's how I see it.
I mean,
right?
if I had to do it, be either A-Rod or Giambi.
So Giambi's an interesting one. I don't see A-Rod doing it, right? So as much as I love A-Rod and he was my favorite player growing up, I see him more as to what he's doing now. He's away from the game, does his little stuff with Fox or whatever. But Giambi is an interesting one because he is another guy that has a mind for hitting. So to me, that would be the spot that I would see him more so in terms of the hitting coach role. I don't know about managing, though. Why do you say that?
Just something about him. I don't know. I think he'd be able to figure it out. And, and if I had to go old school, I'd say Willie Randolph.
Yeah, Willie's a good call. Yeah.
I mean, he's an older guy. I mean, I think he's in his 70s, but I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, he's still around the organization. Why in the world after, I get Girardi was here for almost 10 years, but after that, I'm surprised that they didn't give Willow a look. I'm really, the head scratcher there, but they wanted the yes man, and that's what they got. And they lost the World Series because of it.
I agree. Yeah. Just kind of piggybacking on one of the points you made about Freddie Freeman being the best left-handed batter. Mark DeRosa on MLB Network, on MLB Central, is constantly saying if he had one at-bat for his life, he'd want Freddie Freeman in that at-bat. So I agree.
Absolutely.
I agree. I think that Freddie is next level when it comes to the
he's Aaron Judge from the left side.
Yeah. I'm not mad at that statement. So as we kind of look to this past two series, they have not gone exactly how the Yankees have wanted them to go. When we look back and recap the Tampa Bay Rays series, the Yankees put up 10 runs on 19 hits. They had 4 errors in that series, struck out 12 times, had a stolen base, 10 RBIs, 11 walks, left 17 men on base.
Trash.
Were 5 for 21 with runners in scoring position for a .238 batting average. Now, through the first 2 games of this Padres series, obviously last night's game really skewed the numbers in a big way. So total 15 runs, 16 hits, 1 error, 11 strikeouts, 4 stolen bases, 14 RBIs, 9 walks, 7 left on base in the series, and 6 for 16 with runners in scoring position, which is a .375 average. So obviously, when you look at the offensive contributions, last night made a big impact on the game itself, on the numbers themselves. When you look at the pitching matchups from the last 2 series, against the Rays, they gave up 10 runs, 8 of which were earned, 22 hits, 13 walks, and had 29 strikeouts. Through the first 2 games of this series, 7 earned runs, 16 hits, 6 walks, and 13 strikeouts. And right now, it's a 1-0 game with the Padres leading. So this team, like we said, we have not been able to figure out the identity of the 2025 Yankees. And it's going to be something that I feel like it's going to take more time, obviously. We can say how early it is, that it's just, May 7th now. But as Yogi once said, it's getting late early. So
yes,
we have to figure out who we are as a team if we're going to have a serious run this year.
Yep. No, I agree. And, it's kind of funny that, and he's probably gonna get mad when I say this, but it only took Wandy Peralta to come in the game to make it look like these guys were hitting softballs. Sorry, Wandy, love you, my brother. You know how I feel about you, but that was painful to watch, homie. It was weird. Like, they go up against Mike King and Wandy, and it was just like they just got mad. And I guess they should play against former teammates more often. Apparently, it adds a little more fuel to the fire. I don't know. But last night was a really weird game. I'm like, man, don't tell me we're going to lose another one. And then I spot 10 runs in an inning, which in the 38 years I've been alive, and for as long as I've been watching baseball, that is the first time I've seen them do that, to my recollection, in one game. So pretty crazy.
I'm pretty sure they put the stat up last night after it happened in the ball game, but I want to say 2015 was the last time they had a 10 run.
Yeah, it's when Xavier Nady and that whole crew was playing there, I think.
Not in 15, no. 15 was – who was here in 15?
Hafner was there.
So let's see.
I know Jeter had the broken ankle. He didn't play that year.
14, I want to say. All right, so the 2015 New York Yankee roster. There was Brian McCann, Mark Teixeira, Stephen Drew, Didi Gregorius, Chase Headley, Brett Gardner, Jacoby Ellsbury, Carlos Beltran, and Alex Rodriguez. That was the year A-Rod came back after his suspension and the year after Jeter retired.
Okay.
So that was that year.
How the hell did that lineup put up? Well, I can see it with McCann, Tex, and A-Rod.
Yeah.
Ellsbury is probably on the IL from cutting himself shaving.
Yeah, Ellsbury couldn't ever stay healthy.
Hit water if he fell out of a boat.
Yeah, he had a terrible year. So the best hitter on that team, Brett Gardner, in terms of WAR. He had a 3.7 WAR. Teixeira 3.2. The best player by WAR, according to Baseball Reference, that year was Dellin Betances at 3.9.
He had a hell of a year that year. He had, I think, 40-something saves that season, if my memory serves me right.
So Dellin went for 6-4 record, 1.50 ERA, pitched in 74 games, 84 innings. He had 131 strikeouts. And let's see. He only had 9 saves because Andrew Miller was the closer that year.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. But 131 strikeouts in 84 innings. That's insanity.
Stud.
Yeah. Dellin was a beast.
Then we talked shit about him, and he went to the Mets and blew his Achilles. So, yeah, way to go, guys.
Which to me just says he didn't really want to be there. But now, just one quick note on this Padres series. So we had the Podfathers on for our State of the Franchise series early in the offseason. So I got a message from them saying big game tonight, couple of super solid teams, been a fun series. Funny enough, yesterday seemed like the Padres were going to win and deserved it until the blowout inning, and game 1 was all you guys until late. So it's been a fun ride in this series. Again, right now, 1-0 in favor of the Padres. So we'll see how this game kind of shakes out for the end of the series.
Wow.
All right, let's hit it for the captain's corner.
Swung on it. There it goes. Deep left. It is high. It is far. It is gone. It's a Judgian blast. Now the pitch is swung on. A high fly to deep right center. It's gone. Derek Jeter hit one over the Modell sign in right center. All rise. Here comes El Capitani. Homers.
So as we do in this section, we take a look and see how the captain, Aaron Judge, is doing on this day. So as we kind of bring it forward, as of yesterday, May 6th, these are Aaron Judge's numbers for the season. He has a slash line of 412, 503, 772 in the slugging department, with and that's league best. He also has a league best 12 home runs, 34 RBIs, 34 runs scored, 56 hits. He's got 23 walks, 105 total bases, a 3.1 baseball reference WAR, 3.5 Fangraphs WAR, and 259 OPS plus and 256 WRC plus for Fangraphs. Now, both of those OPS plus and WRC plus numbers, league average is 100. Aaron Judge is 2.5 times better this season than a league average player. It is insane to be.
That's what I said, man. Playing little leaguers.
Yes, absolute insanity.
He's got all the cheat codes turned on.
Yeah. So what's even crazier, right, is that the best two players in baseball right now by OPS plus and WRC plus play for the New York teams. The number 2 player is Pete Alonso of the Mets, who has a 220 OPS plus and a 210 WRC plus, meaning Aaron Judge has still 39 points in OPS plus and 46 points better than Pete Alonso. 39 points and 46 points better than the second highest player in terms of those statistics this season so far. Absolute insane. Like you said, playing like if he's playing against little leaguers, it's maddening to watch if you're an opposing team. And obviously something that we are relishing in right now in watching what this man is doing. And, you know, obviously there's a lot of haters when it comes to Aaron Judge simply because he's a Yankee. Like if he was doing this for the Athletics, I don't think anybody would be, you know, looking at him negatively. But
well, we all know the A's MO. He wouldn't still be there. He would have been there for his rookie deal and gone. Bye-bye. And probably would end up playing for the Red Sox or maybe the friggin' Dodgers for all we know, the way things have turned out. But
yeah.
Oh yeah, all the people screaming, oh, he's using roids. It's like, bro, please just sit down and shut up. The man's been smashing baseballs like this since the day he walked into high school. Like, please just sit down.
And you can also see the maturation of his game, right? From when he came up in 2016, right, and got that cup of coffee before he got hurt, and to where he is now, his swing has completely changed. It's completely evolved. And he's become a much better hitter. And not only, what to me is standing out most about Judge this year is his approach towards just hitting, right? So it's not just chasing home runs, but he's chasing hits, right? Obviously taking whatever the pitcher is giving him, which is why coming into this game, he had a .412 batting average, right? And I'm not one that's end-all, be-all believer in batting average. But when you look at what he's doing, when you look at these numbers, it's insanity. These are video game numbers legitimately being put out on display every single night. So without a doubt, what we're seeing from Aaron Judge this year is something to absolutely behold. And as we spoke about, you know, a couple weeks ago, this is a historic season that we're witnessing. The only people to approximate these numbers are Babe Ruth, who played when you were being lobbed a baseball, basically underhanded almost, and Barry Bonds at the height of his powers. That's the numbers that Aaron Judge is dealing with. That's the realm in which he's dealing with. So don't take what we're witnessing from Aaron Judge for granted, Yankee fans or baseball fans, because this isn't something you're supposed to see on a yearly basis. And outside of the crashing into the wall at Dodger Stadium in 2023, this could have been a 4-year stretch of well over 50 home runs every year. And it's incredible to think about and also insanity to think about. But we have to understand what we're witnessing from this and not take it for granted.
Yeah.
So as we also look on this day back at some previous Yankee captains, we had Derek Jeter in 19.
Derek Judge.
Derek Jeter.
Imagine if Jeter hit like Judge. Holy shit.
That would be wild.
It would have been nuts.
So Derek Jeter in 1998, that's supposed to say, Went 3 for 5. Went 3
You're
for
still in
5.
elementary school, dog.
Yeah. He went 3 for 5 with an RBI, a run scored against the Texas Rangers in a 7-2 Yankee win. Don Mattingly in 1990 went 3 for 5 with 2 runs scored, 2 RBIs against the then California Angels in a Yankee win 11-3. And Thurman Munson in 1976 went 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a stolen base for the Yankee catcher against the then California Angels in a 10-4 Yankee win.
Oh, he was still a young buck back then. He'd only been in the league for 5 years. So.
Yeah, still had his legs up underneath him, even though the grind of a catcher was much, much different back then. What?
Nothing. Like, no, I can't even. No, I can't even.
I don't even want to know.
My brain went to a dark place. I'm sorry.
Of course it did. Of course it did. Let's get to that roll call.
I'm going to hell.
Can we get the roll call started? Aaron Judge! Aaron Judge! Yankee baseball! Yankee baseball!
All right. So as we take a look at this roll call section, there's some interesting and updates to have when it comes to the Yankee injury front. We're supposed to be seeing a machine sighting when we hit the road.
Machine, I don't know, bro. I mean,
Well,
you might be looking at dial-up internet at this point with what used to be the Terminator.
Yeah. Well, as is being reported, at least, DJ LeMahieu is reportedly likely to return on the Yankees West Coast trip. After the game tonight against the Padres, the Yankees are off tomorrow and then head this weekend out to Sacramento to play the A's for a 3-game set. And the likely return of DJ LeMahieu is seemingly on the books for that series. We've discussed DJ a couple of times now. What do you think you're going to actually see from DJ when he returns?
I don't know, man. He's been out for so damn long. I have no idea. Tracking him through the minor league rehab stint, numbers have been good, but you're talking about a 12-year major league veteran playing against guys in AA and AAA. So
we haven't even seen him at AAA yet. That was just AA.
He was supposed to play in Scranton.
Yeah, it got rained out, so he's supposed to play tonight, I think, in Scranton.
Okay, well, dude, I don't know. I'm almost afraid to put him back out there for fear that he's going to just shatter into a million pieces, to be quite honest. I mean, I don't want to sound like a jackass about it, but that fear is real. And then not only that, who are you displacing out of this lineup that's been playing well? You got to tell Goldschmidt he's got to sit down? You got to tell Rice, grab some pine? You going to tell Jazz to sit down? You going to tell Cabrera to sit down? I mean, damn. I would be – I don't know, man. It's just going to have to hold our breath and hope for the best.
Yeah, I mean, I think the guy that most likely gets displaced from the starting lineup is probably Cabrera.
Probably.
That in a bit, but I think the guy that gets displaced on the roster is Pablo Reyes. I mean, he hasn't done anything. So, but it's going to be curious to me because they seem to like sending down Vivas, Yorby Vivas. I would want to keep him up, but we'll see what they end up deciding to do. Because to me, the move is to replace the right-handed batting Pablo Reyes with the right-handed batting DJ LeMahieu, not the lefty in Vivas. That would be the move that I would make, but they make some very curious decisions on this team.
Yeah, I don't know.
You mentioned it earlier and kind of teased it a little bit, but Carlos Carrasco was finally designated for assignment.
Don't sound too excited over there.
Listen, when you pitch to a 5.91 ERA, and ironically, not the worst ERA in our pitching staff, but 32 innings pitched, 21 earned runs given up, 7 home runs, 10 walks, a FIP of 5.28, and an ERA plus where league average is 100. He pitched to a 67.
I mean, like I said before the when they signed him. I'm like, why are we doing this? I mean, you know, I know there's a Matt Blake connection, so they were bagging on that. But I mean, this guy's at the end of his career and cannot stay healthy. You had other options available. You know, Kyle Gibson being one. He's not exactly the best option, but there were other options besides him. Jose Quintana, for example, was another guy that I would have taken more of a risk on than Carlos Carrasco.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is what it is at this point. Yeah. So, I mean, at least we didn't sign Frankie Montas to a $21 million contract in the offseason. So I guess that's one way of looking at it.
Listen, we traded for him and should have kept what we traded. So,
well, the guy that the Waldichuk just kind of fell apart when he got to Oakland. So, I mean,
yeah, but we also basically never saw Frankie Montas pitch other than like twice. So,
no, he was rehabbing in the playoffs. You didn't see it? You didn't know that's where guys are supposed to rehab?
Yeah. Well, they seem to be doing that a lot with our guys. So, but just one other quick little note, and this kind of floored me when I was doing some research here, but the slash line against Carlos Carrasco this year was a 298 batting average, 345 on base, and a 527 slugging percentage. Now, when I was looking to see what the comp could be for that slash line, right? Now, mind you, you don't want a pitcher to be giving up this kind of a slash line.
No.
It was the career equivalent, right, from Bernie Williams from 1998 through 2006.
Holy Christ.
So that's how hitters were hitting against Carlos Carrasco, the height of Bernie Williams' career. It's terrible. And this
man,
guy that we rolled out as our fifth starter every 5 days.
They had no choice.
Yeah, but I mean,
they literally had no choice. Chase Hampton blew out his elbow.
Yeah, but like you said, there were other options, and
I mean, Cam Schiller's been doing pretty good down in AAA, so you might see him show up at some point.
And he looked very good in spring training.
I watched him pit the game I went to. He started that game, and I'm like, who the hell is this? Because Schmidt was supposed to start that game, and he got scratched for Schiller. And I'm like, who? And then he's just out there just throwing gas. I'm like, oh, okay. And he's a tall, lanky dude. He's like 6'5", 6'6". And watching him pitch, he's almost got the same amount of what's the word I'm looking for? Distance to the plate as Randy Johnson. Like, that's how much length he takes up throwing towards the mound. Looks like a right-handed version of Randy Johnson.
Yeah.
So,
like I said, there were, to me, other options, like you mentioned, guys outside of the organization, but also within the organization that I would have preferred to give an opportunity to over Carrasco, even with the Matt Blake connection.
I mean, we got to have, and besides him, like there's got to be a better option down in the minor leagues than Will Warren at this point. Will Warren, I don't want to be kicking the dude while he's down, but he's a failed starter at this point. I wish this organization would get better at grooming starting pitchers. You got Severino out of it, you got Heel out of it, but I mean that's literally all you've gotten in the last 8 seasons. There's 2 guys. Everybody else has been a failed starter. So I really would like to see the organization do a better job in developing starting pitchers that can stop blowing out their elbows.
Which is kind of wild when you think about how good they've been with bullpen guys. But they just haven't been able to produce that same success in the starting.
Bullpen guys are a dime a dozen, though. But, I mean, you also have a hard time developing starting pitchers in the minor leagues when they're capped at 80 pitches a night. That's got to change. That philosophy has got to go out the window.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing for me. So as we do in this section, we kind of go through our 3 up, 3 down, 3 guys that are playing well, 3 that aren't, and 1 to be on the lookout for. Obviously, as we've been talking about and so glowingly all season, Aaron Judge is the first up. Over the last week of baseball, 316, 381, 842 slash lines, 6 hits, 2 home runs, 5 runs scored, 2 RBIs, 2 walks. Now, for as good as Judge has been, this past week was absolutely dreadful for our first down, Oswaldo Cabrera. A slash line of 0 across the board with 2 strikeouts.
I mean,
he was 0 for 13.
I get it.
It's
He's
tough.
a streaky guy, though. We've known this since the day he showed up.
Yeah, but this is a bad streak because at least, you know, if you're Bellinger with a home run, let's go. Let's go. Don't want to give anything away, but we'll discuss Bellinger momentarily. Our second up is Jason Dominguez, 333, 455, 444 slash line. 3 hits, a double, 2 runs scored, 2 walks. We've discussed it earlier. Devin Williams is our second down.
I feel like I'm going to throw up.
Yeah, I mean, this is not what you want. The crazy part of this, right? If you look at his slash line, outside of the on base because of the 2 walks that were given up, he's only got a batting average against him and a slugging percentage against him of 167. So he's walking guys, and that's what's causing the damage.
Well, and that like I was going to say, too, when you only pitch an inning or 2/3 of an inning and you give up 8 runs, like we saw with Marcus Stroman the day that his knee all of a sudden hurt. And we all know my conspiracy theories behind that one. But when he exited that game with getting through 1/3 of an inning and giving up 8 runs, his ERA was 225.0.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and we'll see that momentarily with our third down. So our third up is Paul Goldschmidt. We talked about how much of a resurgence we're seeing from him. So 313, 389, 500 slash line with 5 hits, a home run, 4 runs scored, 4 RBIs, and 2 walks. And as you just mentioned, when you don't pitch much and you give up runs, Mark Leiter Jr. is our third down with an ERA of 54.
I'm done with him. I've been done with him since we got him. When they traded for him, I'm like, why? Why did we do this?
Yep. And when we look at our player to be on the lookout for, somebody similar to what we saw last week from Cody Bellinger as our player to be on the lookout for. This week, it's Austin Wells. Wells is a 267, 313, 667 slash line with 4 hits, 2 of which were home runs, 3 runs scored, 6 RBIs, a walk, and a stolen base to boot. So we've been pretty lucky when it comes to the players to be on the lookout for and seeing some improvement from them. So hopefully we continue to see good things from Austin Wells, as he came up as a guy who could hit and was questionable as his catching ability. We've seen that kind of shift in people's minds, and hopefully he can get back to being that plus hitter that we saw in the minor leagues.
Well, I mean, he had a grand slam last night, so I think he's on the right track.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what made him be the player to be on the lookout for. All right, so let's take it around the league, because it was an interesting topic that made its way around social media today.
Ground ball, Alex Rodriguez steps on second. Go to second for 1, on to first. It's the around the horn triple play.
So as we go through this section and looking around the horn, you sent me something and we kind of discussed it a little bit, but I wanted to bring it on here. There was a post that went around about Nolan Arenado being scratched from today. So ultimately, it turned out that it was just back spasms as to the reason why Nolan Arenado was scratched from the lineup, which is what I texted you, right? When you sent me this, I said he has issues with his back that flare up every now and again throughout the course of the season. Everybody was speculating that it was going to be trade related, right? Oh, yeah. So what do you expect an Arenado trade to look like?
If he's having back issues, they're not going to be getting top prospects. I'll give you that much. Here's
also probably not doing that with the amount of money that's left on his deal for the next 3 years.
If they want to trade him, they're going to have to eat at least 95% of that contract. And here you go. Here's 2 AA guys, and see you later.
Yeah. So I think it's going to depend on where things are when Arenado get traded. Obviously, the extra wild card spots in both leagues make it where other teams are still involved in the mix later on than usual. I think that Arenado I personally still think that it's the guy that can play. I think that he's not sure what the direction is for the Cardinals. And obviously, he's an older player. He had a down year and a half, but it was just 2 years ago that he finished third in the National League MVP race, right? So this isn't a guy who's long been removed from being an effective player. And we know what he does with the glove is otherworldly. I mean, this is one of the best defensive third baseman in the history of the game. So if for nothing else, you can have Arenado as a tremendous defender who's going to hit you some home runs and potentially, come up with a clutch hit or two, right? But what is that actually worth to people and to teams? And that's, to me, the biggest question, right? So I said to you earlier on that if he gets traded, it's probably to Boston to replace Tristan Casas at first base. And we know over the offseason, Nolan made it clear like he'd be willing to play first base for a contending team. Is that a move you can see make?
Not really. I mean, Boston really doesn't have much of a farm system, to my knowledge, left. There's been more rumors about Anthony Rizzo going back to the team that drafted him. Because Romy Gonzalez and Abraham Toro just aren't getting the job done up in Beantown. But I think Rizzo going to the Red Sox is more of an accurate thing, given the fact that, you won't have to pay him that much money. He's a little bit older, but he's got his own list of injury issues. I don't know. It just seems like all the guys that come out of Colorado just can't stay healthy. I mean, you're seeing it right now with Trevor Story. You saw it with Troy Tulowitzki. Now you're seeing it with Arenado. So I don't know, man. You trade for him, okay, cool, but how effective is he really going to be? I mean, he's 33 years old. He's not that old, but you have seen a history of guys when they leave Colorado that they just can't stay healthy. I mean, DJ is an outlier because, you bash a ball off your foot. I mean, anything can happen. I remember watching Jermaine Dye in the 2001 playoffs shatter his shin because the ball hit the bat and it hit right at the right angle and it went right off his shin at 100 and something miles an hour and he dropped straight to the ground and was out for an entire year. But whoever trades for him, I don't know how, like I said, I don't know how effective he's gonna be. And his trade value just went down significantly. So
I mean, I don't know that it went down significantly, right? Because this is something that we've seen him have
significantly compared to what the trade packages were being rumored to be being asked for in the offseason. I mean, the Cardinals were asking for Luis Heel for God's sake. Like, get bent, not happening.
Yeah,
you on drugs if you think you're getting the reigning AL Rookie of the Year for a 33-year-old third baseman with back issues. Get bent. Not happening.
I mean, I think that John Mozeliak on his way out as the GM and president of baseball operations there was really trying to set them up for success with that type of a deal. But I don't think that that's going to be the asking price at this point in the season. But, it'll be interesting to see. So looking at his numbers really quick, he's got 3 home runs, a 256, 342, 395 slash line for an OPS plus, according to Baseball Reference, of 107 with 3 home runs, 33 hits, and 14 RBI so far this year. So not terrible numbers. They're up from where they were last year for most places, but not necessarily the numbers that you're used to seeing from him for his career. So would you want to see Arenado on the Yankees?
No. Nope. Too many
the issues with third base.
Bro, I'm so done with us getting aging, injury-ridden players. That needs to stop. It's not getting us anywhere. We're spending money on the wrong people all over again. Because the Yankees are going to have to pay him something. Yeah. Like St. Louis isn't going to trade him and absorb all that. But plus, with the way Hal and Brian operate, if you got to tell the Yankees, I mean, look at the chess game they had to play with getting Rizzo here.
Yeah.
With just being owed $16 million.
Yeah.
You got to divvy up 185, I think, that's left on that thing. Good luck.
So Arenado has, let me see real quick.
Hal
So
Steinbrenner's
Arenado
operating like, yeah, you want to give them to me for free $99, we can talk.
So Arenado has this year's a $32 million contract, right? So every day that he's not on the roster, that prorated portion comes off, right? So if you wait till the trade deadline, right, which is past, the midway mark of the season, you're paying half of that, right? So at that point, you're looking at $16 million. Next year, he has $27 million, 5 of which is going to be paid by the Rockies, right? So that brings it down to 22. If you get the Cardinals to kick in another $5-10 million, that now takes that down to, let's say they take $5 million off. Now you're taking it from 22 down to 17, right? So now you have 2 years at 17, and then the third year, which will be 2027, his age 36 season, is at $15 million.
Okay, so answer this question for me. What's the luxury tax hit? Because whatever he's owed, you got to multiply it by whatever level that they're at, and that's what they're going to actually have to pay him for the remainder of the contract. So that right there is the kicker as to whether or not they'll do it or not. I mean, they pocketed $25 million from the insurance policy on Garrett Cole blowing his elbow out, but dude, we know how Hal operates, and if it's going to hit the luxury tax threshold at a certain 150%, ain't no way it's happening.
Yeah, so I
not
think
for him anyway.
I think they're at 110% right now. So basically $1 for every dollar that they're over, right? So I think that's where they're at.
What did you say it was 17 million?
Yeah, 17. So 16, 17, and then 15. If they can get the Cardinals.
So let's just say 17 mil at 110%. That's 18.7 million on top of.
Listen, I agree with you. I don't think the Yankees are going to make a move for him. We've been hearing all offseason from baseball insiders that the Yankees have never been in on this conversation for Arenado. So for me, it's more of the same, right? They're not going to actually be in on him. So, but it's just interesting to me that everybody's first thought when he was scratched from the lineup was that he was being traded. And like you said, most of these teams that are going to be involved in the mix for a postseason spot, they're not looking to get that money, that contract that's owed. If he was in the final year of his deal, sure, 100%.
Smack in the middle of it.
The fact that there's still 2 seasons and a half from wherever you get him from this year, let's say, right? So whatever point you get him here, then you still got 2 more seasons after that at 22 million because the Rockies are kicking in 5 and 15 for the final. I just don't see that as being a feasibly movable contract for 90% of postseason teams, which would be realistically the only teams that he would consider waiving his full no trade clause. Because that's the other part of it. It's not just trying to find a deal for somebody to take him. It's if he's willing to go.
Yep.
So I just don't see it happening. I think that he's going to finish out this year and next year with the Cardinals, and it's potential that in his age 36 season in 2027 where he could get moved. That to me is where that could potentially happen, but I don't see it happening right now.
So, yeah.
All right. Let's walk this off.
Jeter hits it into right. Back at the wall. Game over. As Boone hits it to deep left. That might send the Yankees to the World Series. Boone, a hero in Game 7.
2. Swung on and hit in the air to deep left field. That ball is high. It is far. It is gone. It's a game-winning walk-off 3-run home run by Aaron Judge.
That one's drilled to left field. Is it high enough? See ya! A walk-off grand slam, and the Yankees win. Judge hit 60, and the Yankees win in walk-off fashion.
So as we bring this down to a close, just a quick update on the Yankee Padre game. It is tied 1-1 in the 8th inning, in the top of the 8th inning, with Ian Hamilton pitching to Fernando Tatis Jr. to a 3-0 count right now. But we just want to highlight some of the comments and some of the guests that were on tonight. So our good friend Dan, what's going on, Dan? We appreciate you jumping on. And our friend from the Granite Geek Show, Chris Grant Jr., talking about the Yankees are still better than his Sox right now. Yes.
Which ones?
Red Sox.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So,
well, they're nipping at our heels. So I wouldn't quite say that we're doing that much better, but
yeah, they're right there. So, before tonight's games, the Yankees are 20-16. The Red Sox are 18-19. So, ironically enough, the Yankees are the only team in the division above 500 right now. So, he's not wrong, but they are chasing very closely right now. So, want to thank everybody for joining us. As always, we do appreciate you guys showing up for our live streams here. And as we do each and every week, this is a YouTube channel, and we do appreciate you joining us. And the best way to show your support is by hitting that like and subscribe button, as well as the bell for post notifications, because each and every week we have tons of people watching the channel and they're not actually subscribed. So hitting that subscribe button
kind of weird.
Does actually help us in a big way. So we do appreciate you when you hit that subscribe button. And while you're checking us out, make sure you check out our description, as it does have our Linktree link with all the pertinence to our merchandise store, sponsor links, social platforms, and audio platforms. Again, a quick link that you can tap onto and really help the channel continue to grow. And of course, my friend here for Gilly's House of Cards, make sure you check him out on Whatnot, as he does some very interesting and fun stuff each and every time out. So definitely a big support there, as well as it does.
You got to come hang out one of these nights or one of these days.
One of these times we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. So
I invite you all the time. You never show up. Just saying.
Listen, you always catch me when I'm like in the middle of something or working my day job. So we'll have to figure it out. But one other thing before we head out is every single night after the Yankees, I bring you the 3-out post-game report. And we're looking for some contributors to join us for every team in Major League Baseball. We want to have the league fully covered with some fan coverage on our 3-out style of post-game reporting. So if you're interested, let me know. Hit us up at contact.baseballbanterbroadcast@gmail.com with your interest in joining us for our post-game reporting team. So definitely want to get that going, as it is a fun thing to be able to bring your post-game to you, especially after a Yankee win. So we want to get coverage for each and every team across baseball. So definitely, if you're interested, reach out to us there. And once again, we want to thank you guys for joining us. This has been a fun stream, as it always is. And as Dave teased earlier, we are looking to have the Bronx Bomber Babe on with us next week to have some pretty interesting conversations that she had with some Yankee personnel. So definitely make sure you check us out next week. So for Dave, I'm Jeremy, and this has been the Pinstripe Plunge Report here on the Baseball Banter broadcast. We'll catch you guys next week. Peace.
Have a good week.